that have been weakened over time by small landowners. We give you parents the assurance that we will ensure school and they write their exam. Will give
thousands in communities like Mundo Talparo, Brazil, and along Tumpuna South Road. Corporation, Ryan Rampasad described a night of rising.
Important day in the lives of many students, and whilst they fall under Puna Piako Corporation, we have no boundaries when it comes to serving our people.
Were affected.
I'm balling. All you help me. Taking my freezer and they come when I bring that brick and they bring and put it. Look all this.
The flooding prompted the Shogunas Borough Corporation to assist with clearing. Was on site earlier this morning coordinating relief.
Some blockages along this highway side.
Invited force began filling yards, climbing walls and tearing, making the homes of residents along Seward Straits and Penal its
in the back way. I try to block it. If you walk so you go see
is among the scores of residents from this low-lying community who was not. The scene is an all too familiar one.
every year like nearly here this year.
Neighbors devising ways to put a stop to it.
We always have problem for water. Instead of all this flood, water.
Because of the Penal Debe Regional Corporation told over 1,000 were distributed in need. Some even used to construct a barrier. Tulsa Trace.
They are creating a unique sand embankment, as temporary as it may be. It is preventing the water from the Cora Channel to enter into the Blackwater Channel. Water channel is what the village is fed by, if I'm to use that term. So the amount of water into the Blackwater Channel.
Penal Debe Regional Corporation areas such as Rocha Douglas Road as well as Clark Road had also experienced street flooding. He noted that the flooding was not as high, however, assured that teams, including members of the Army, to respond to any emergency situation. Jesse Ramdale, CNC3 News.
And floodwater surged into parts, forcing the Mayaro-Rio Claro Regional Corporation to act swiftly.
As a riverine alert, some corporation staff were sent home early to avoid being stranded. Chairman Raymond Cozier said by midday rainfall briefly subsided, but conditions remained unpredictable and dangerous. He explained that while river clearance issues in Mafeking created a serious bottleneck, landowners halted work in critical areas. Cozier warned that unless access is granted, the flooding will.
Right, and that was causing problem because the bottleneck and back up to get that to really effective.
Level flooding was reported at Kanhai, and teams quickly responded to make assessments. In Chandarban, the rising water entered his yard.
Garage, everything, all the doctor. All go get shook in that water, that coolness. About 3 feet of water in the take it to the doctor now. Water coming up.
Clock Road as strong currents rushed through the Newcastle channel.
As officials scrambled to secure boats near the with more rain forecast, remain on high alert.
Falling within the Kuva Tabaki Talpara
reported, but river levels continue. Jean-Marc Rampessad for the very latest.
The service has extended the orange level of Oropouche River basins. Now, development and local government at 6 p.m. Now, you may wonder why the Caroni River originates from Komuto in the east and published 2 years ago, before. That's why communities in areas such as Greenvale and Oropoon will be at greater risk. Now, once the runoff reaches the lower or flatter areas, the river network becomes overwhelmed and the surrounding areas become flooded. Now, the Caroni broke its bank in several locations today, including Ibis Gardens, Piarco, Las Lomas, San Rafael, and Brazil. With flooding considered severe in those areas, and in the coming hours, we'll be keeping the eyes on the river levels across the country. We'll have more on the weather in the forecast later on.
All right, thank you very much, Jean-Marc. Works and Infrastructure Minister Jerlene John reveals government is prioritizing flood mitigation projects in the areas government has deemed vulnerable in the short to medium term.
So the snapshot of our priority projects, at this time there are many, right? There are many. So when I call these out, please don't get public, I'm telling them. So you are all priority, but in terms of where the flooding is going to come from, we're talking about Tulsa Trace, we are building out a retaining wall and rehabilitation of the roadway, Marabella River, mouth clearing, Caparo River, the silting of that river mouth, Coromata River, removal of damaged floodgates on that river to address flooding in areas such as Clark Road, Cipero River, clearing and desilting downstream of Gulfview, Link Road. This will provide relief in areas such as Gulfview, Palmis.
The minister said clearing of the Caroni River mouth also continues. She added that they will continue to monitor infrastructure, especially in vulnerable communities.
With flooding reported across the country today, we asked, how are you coping with the adverse weather conditions? Here's what some of you told us.
The People Say, brought to you by Excel Health TT, the official supplement of the CPL.
I just adjust, if sun hot, you know what I mean, I put my sneakers, rain falling, I put my boots, you know what I mean. You know, set a flood, you know, if it's a flood where I live in, well, you know, it'll be different.
You really can't do anything much, as you see the water, it rising real fast, and we having real problems with the water itself, with actually the drainage, the clearing of the drains and them kind of thing, and as being a truck driver, we have no work right now.
We had to cope with whatever it is. But right now with she and my brother and I'm here, it's real bad.
Well, right now we just hoping that the rain stop and you know that the flood wouldn't affect we anything, you know.
I cope with the weather once God is in control. Man can't send rain, you know. Yeah, man cannot send rain. Only God could send rain. Sun, lightning, rain, I good.
It's a struggle, but you know, we had to push on. No, I could do. But it hard.
The People Say, brought to you by Excel Health TT, the official supplement of the CPL.
Local government and Defence Force personnel will be on standby overnight to evacuate residents in flood-prone areas as waters continue to rise.
At least 2 families in the Las Lomas and St. Helena communities requested help to leave their homes this afternoon in fear of rising floodwaters. Chairman of the Kuva Tabaki Talparo Regional Corporation, Ryan Rampessad, told us that the Las Lomas family will stay with relatives tonight, while the St. Helena family has been offered shelter by a member of the public. Pets belonging to the families were also taken to safety. Rampessad said he, along with members of the Tunapuna Piarco Regional Corporation and the Defence Force, will be in a state of readiness throughout the night.
Residents across several communities in Trinidad and Tobago are facing continued disruptions in their water supply due to adverse weather conditions that have affected the operations of surface water treatment facilities.
The Water and Sewerage Authority released another update this morning, highlighting the extent of the impact caused by persistent rainfall. In the northern region of Trinidad, several areas have been affected, largely due to high turbidity and clogged intake screens, a result of rivers being swollen and flooded from prolonged rainfall.
Areas in East Trinidad, such as Toco, Balandra, Matura, parts of Valencia and Arima, are experiencing interrupted service or low water pressure. Meanwhile, in Tobago, service has returned to several communities, including Plymouth, Crown Point, Canaan and Bonaccord.
WASA has assured the public that all efforts are being made to restore service as swiftly as possible. Well, still to come in the news, police warn criminals are now using artificial intelligence to create fake hotel rooms.
New UDCOT chairman says operationalizing Couva Hospital is the new board's priority project.
The First Citizens Knockout title will be staying in Tetron as holders Defence Force Tier 1 and the challengers Defence Force Tier 2 reach the final.
The gifts all dads love always cost less at Detour. This Father's Day, Detour gives you Infinity premium shirts and regular slim fit dress pants up to 20% off. Plus casual shirts, polos, jeans, pants, shorts, swimwear, and activewear up to 15% off. Plus wedding and grads are in the air. See Detour's finest selection of suits and blazers, including 6 grads and grooms combo offers now for $349.95. All footwear is up to 50% off. Plus most Van Heusen clothing now 15% off. Only at Detour.
It's a beautiful day at the Oval, and opening the bowling from the Palm Grove end is Sean Bishop, and here he comes charging in, right arm over the wicket. Powell takes a huge swing. Richardson is under it. Whoa, that was a spectacular catch. Big things ahead for this new crop of youngsters. Future is bright.
The top nominee for Police Commissioner Alistair Guevara is awaiting the outcome of the parliamentary process before he comments on the matter.
Yesterday, it was reported that the acting senior superintendent of the police's special branch and assistant police commissioner for South Central Wayne Meister are being nominated by the Police Service Commission for the roles of commissioner and acting deputy commissioner of police. Guevara told CNC3 News that he preferred to reserve comment until the process was completed. Guevara has spent most of his career assigned to the special branch. CNC3 News understands the names of both officers will be brought to Parliament for discussion tomorrow.
Tobago police are urging the public to conduct background checks and exercise caution as they've become aware of an emerging scam relating to the booking of guest houses and hotels. At the launch of a training session on artificial intelligence for police, Oswin Subero said not every person claiming to have a guest house for rent may be telling the truth. He said the scam was one example of the need for police to remain vigilant on the changing activities of criminals.
Persons are booking hotels that they don't own, being paid for spaces that they don't own, and people are arriving at guest houses only to realize that the person they paid have no affiliation with the hotels.
AI adoption consultant Jared Llanos noted that such training forums are valuable as police need sensitization to the uses of AI and the potential threats they face.
Empowering law enforcement with the context, more so than the knowledge, the context and the skills to push back against emerging threats that are powered by AI and to use technology to deliver better service to the people of Tobago. And I would.
Well, Subero said it is his intention to include technology to a greater degree in crime-fighting operations, noting that the Eagle Eye project, which uses an integrated CCTV network, will be introduced in Tobago.
The TNT Police Service is tonight warning parents that they can be held legally responsible for the behavior of their children. Media ambassador for the TTPS, ASP Awi Russell, says while police are monitoring all schools to assist in preventing incidents of violence, parents have a legal duty to ensure that they are not facilitating violent behavior. This follows an incident this week in which a Holy Faith College student was viciously attacked by a group of girls outside the school compound in Couva. ASP Russell says parents are often enablers of deviant behavior.
When you look at the Children's Act 46/01, the parents have to understand that they themselves could be held accountable, parents and guardians. When you look at Section 56, it caters for that magistrate or the master of the court to have that particular parent or guardian pay any fines, costs, or damages as a result of the child that they supervise or the parent misbehavior.
While the TTPS says acts of violence committed can and will be prosecuted, ASP Russell says measures are needed to ensure that children who display deviant behavior are rehabilitated.
We want that child to be a contributed member to society, notwithstanding the way they've had their errors or their issues before. So we're looking at proper counseling, therapy. We're looking at rehabilitation and to reskill and retool that child, because when you put that child before a court, I'm not saying don't prosecute, because some of these children really commit heinous crimes, serious crimes that may see persons hospitalized.
And a student of the Southeast Secondary School was hospitalized last week after being brutally attacked by a group of girls at the school. UDCOT's new chairman, Shankar Badesi, has identified the operationalization of the Couva Children's Hospital as a priority project of the new board.
Badesi, who is now at the helm of the state entity, told CNC3 News that UDCOT is currently conducting a comprehensive review of the hospital to determine the state of equipment and number of beds removed from the hospital. Prime Minister Kamla Prasad Bisesa has pledged to fully reopen the facility. Badesi said UDCOT will also focus on the reported issues at Whitehall after it was deemed unfit for the Prime Minister's use. The chairman said his board will first conduct a thorough review of the building to determine its suitability and to ascertain the quality of the refurbishment works done thus far.
As negotiations continue between majority state-owned National Flour Mills and workers, the NFM's CEO Ian Mitchell is calling for patience, saying that the board is doing all it can.
And energy talks take place between Proman and officials from the Energy Ministry. Details in tonight's Business Watch from Geisha Kalesa Alonso.
Two weeks ago, workers at the majority state-controlled National Flour Mills staged a protest on Rice Road, Port of Spain, over stalled wage negotiations. As talks continue to bring about a resolution, NFM's CEO Ian Mitchell points out there has been a change in administration. As he knows, the board is doing all that it can.
We have been around the table. We have presented to our board of directors a proposal that once is approved, we will take back to the union. As you would understand, boards are in transition now because there's been a change in administration, and until such time, we just have to wait and exercise some patience. So I really feel it for the workers. I know that everybody wants their money now. It's a tough time economically and so on for a lot of people, and I empathize with them.
Mitchell was speaking to Business Watch at the rebranding of Ibis Flour, which took place on Tuesday. He also shares some details on why the company decided to go in that direction.
We believe Ibis does not belong to us as NFMers, but it belongs to the people of Trinidad and Tobago. So when we do something significant with the brand, we want to share it with our customers and eventually share it with all of our consumers. And this is a very significant change, a packaging renovation.
He says the NFM engaged with top designers, both locally and internationally, to determine what the brand represents and to produce some sort of manifestation of that to TNT. In other business news, global leader in methanol, fertilizer and other natural gas industries, Proman, is underscoring its long-term commitment to this country. It also assures of its continued investment in innovative clean energy technologies as part of its vision for a greener future. These topics were part of the talks when proven officials met with Minister of Energy, Rudal Munilal, and other representatives of the ministry on Wednesday. Government's commitment to advancing the work of the energy sector was also reaffirmed. And now for today's energy and forex prices. Geisha Kaulesa Alonso, CNC3 Business Watch.
PNM General Secretary Foster Cummings is staying silent on a petition that's raising questions about last month's special General Council meeting.
When contacted by CNC3 News this afternoon, Cummings said he had not received the document and as a result could not comment. The unsigned petition, reportedly circulating, calls for a new General Council meeting, arguing that former Senator Dr. Amory Brown and former general election candidate Roger Monroe should not have participated in the May 6th proceedings. It cites party constitutional rules, including Article 14 and Regulation 4.3, claiming Dr. Brown was no longer a senator and Monroe's defeat in the general election disqualified him. The petition calls for the meeting's decisions to be voided and urges the council to reconvene in compliance with the party's constitution. So far, there's been no official word from the party's leadership on whether the matter will be addressed. Let's tell you what's still to come in the news tonight. With climate change wreaking havoc on coral reefs, the THA wants more autonomy to protect its marine assets.
Now, today would have been just another rainy day if we hadn't just gone through almost 3 days of intermittent rainfall. But today, Trinidad and to a lesser extent Tobago experienced several bouts of heavy showers, which certainly worsened the flooding situation. The major rivers continued to rise today, leading up to high tide at 5:30 this afternoon. Unfortunately, we have additional rainfall in the forecast. I'll have the details coming up just after the break.
Southern Food Basket flash sale on and now. Goat stew 4 pounds for $90. Tyson leg quarters $285 per case. Russet potatoes 5 pounds for $19.95. Great value fries 5 pounds 2 for $59.95. Golden brand margarine 227 grams 5 for $19.95. Richport vegetable oil 500 ml 3 for $19.95. Anchor cheddar and vegetarian cheese 250 grams 2 for $44.95. Chubby 3 cases for $100. Cold 2 liters 3 for $19.95. Bright wash laundry detergent 900 grams, 2 for $19.95. Clorox 1 gallon, $26.95. Available at Southern Food Basket, St. Charles Village, Princestown, SS Erin Road, Pinal, Southern Main Road, Point Fortin, Coffee Street, San Fernando. Available Thursday, 12th of June to Sunday, 15th June, 2025.
ChatGPT, I'm falling.
Failing grades? Contact Student Hub.
I ain't say failing, I say falling.
Then it's time to stop failing. Student Hub helps students succeed online. If school feels like a free fall, Student Hub helps you land on top.
Discover Regal Granola. Crunchy, flavorful, bursting with berries, seeds, Regal almonds, walnuts, pecans. High in fiber with real orange juice. Get Regal Granola, the perfect snack for your lunchbox.
Welcome to Holiday Inn Express and Suites.
Do enjoy this.
Hi.
You want some coffee?
Can I have a
Perfect, Steph.
That's exactly what we need.
Hi, who is this way?
Whatever you're here for, we're here for you. Stay smart at the Holiday Inn Express and Suites.
When I am with my friends and those pains that knock me down arrive, I take Panadol Ultra because it relieves fast 5 types of tough pain and it does not irritate the stomach. That's why my choice is always Panadol Ultra to feel relief quickly and enjoy every second. Panadol, release starts here.
Chief Secretary Farley Augustine will lobby the government to give the Tobago House of Assembly authority to police its marine parks.
Augustine made the revelation as he delivered the feature address at the Institute of Marine Affairs launch of its newest publication, Coral Reefs of Trinidad and Tobago.
The new book comes as Tobago's coral reefs strain under the weight of climate change. As Chief Secretary Farley Augustine addressed the IMA's launch of its new book, Coral Reefs of Trinidad and Tobago, he called for the protection of the nation's blue assets, not $100 bills, but what lies beneath the surface of the sea. But he also used the opportunity to address a lingering legislation in the Tobago bill that is 5 years old.
Look at how long? November of 2020, asking that the THA be granted significant legislative teeth over the setting up of and the policing of marine parks in Tobago. I have already asked that be one of the actionable items in this between June and December this year.
When asked if this is something he would support, Minister of Planning, Economic Affairs and Development Kennedy Swarat-Singh said he will be meeting with THA officials in the coming weeks where such topics will be discussed. It comes as Tobago's coral reefs experience severe bleaching due to marine heat waves, and scientists warn there are far-reaching consequences for the island.
We can't build enough retaining walls. We can't put down enough gabion baskets or do enough revetments or provide enough strategies, man-made strategies, to do what coral reefs were naturally built to do.
Author of the publication, Dr. Anjani Ganesh warned diseases destroying coral reefs in other islands are at Tobago's doorstep.
With management, we can hope to slow the decimation, but the reality is that coral reefs over the past 50 years and expected to continue over the next 50 years are undergoing significant transitions because of climate change.
Meanwhile, IMA Director Dr. Ava Maxam said there are benefits to coral reefs TNT must tap into.
Research has also shown that in addition to stunning visuals of coral reef, many coral organisms have potential medicinal value, including anti-cancer and antibacterial properties, making them valuable for pharmaceutical research.
The IMA is hoping with the launch of its new book, a new attitude to coral reefs emerges.
Tonight's weather report, brought to you by Redoxon.
Jean-Marc's back with us. Jean-Marc, the rain continued today. This morning you said a 60% chance of some showers. That did turn out to be right. What's tomorrow going to be looking like? Because you did mention that Friday is going to be a pretty heavy day.
Yes, that's correct. It's expected to be a little more intense than what we got today, as we are expecting the next tropical wave early on tomorrow. So let's take a look at some of the details of the alert. Now, the Met Office has a high chance, or 70% this time, of heavy showers and isolated thunderstorms for tomorrow. The alert has been extended until 4 p.m., after which we should see some significant improvement. Now, this would mean that of intermittent rainfall, so the risk of street and flash flooding, riverine flooding, landslides and landslips are significantly higher. Now, the Met Office advises the public to be vigilant and take extra care on the nation's roadways. Now, taking a look at the satellite, Tropical Wave 5 is just on our doorstep and it's expected to bring additional rainfall overnight into tomorrow. Just to the east of that, we can see the activity associated with the wave, and we can also see a small clearing just a bit further back, which many of us will be anxiously awaiting. Out in the central and eastern Atlantic, we have the band of clouds associated with the ITCZ and tropical wave number 6. Now, taking a closer look at the region, cloudy conditions over most of the Lesser Antilles today, some light to moderate showers over the Windward Islands, and of course we had those heavy showers and isolated thunderstorms over Trinidad and Tobago. Off to our east, we can see the last of that tropical wave activity with some drier air pushing in behind it. So the forecast for tonight, cloudy conditions with persistent light rain and scattered showers. Overnight lows of 23 in Trinidad and 24 in Tobago can be expected. Tomorrow, from the early hours of the morning, we can expect the heavy showers and isolated thunderstorms to resume, and models have been pretty consistent with the improvement by late afternoon. Seas are currently moderate, with waves in open waters getting up to 2.5 meters and near 1 meter in sheltered areas, occasionally choppy at times. Winds are still expected to be out of the east at 15 to 20 knots, occasionally gusting to 35 near those heavy showers. Now, Crown Point actually recorded a gust of 36 knots this afternoon, which is about 67 kilometers per hour. Looking ahead, some improvement on Saturday and Sunday, but we'll likely have some brisk passing showers on those days to interrupt the sunny, breezy, and hazy conditions, because the Saharan dust will be back in moderate concentrations, but then some wet conditions resume next week with some scattered showers and just a low chance of some heavy showers on Monday and Tuesday for now.
Tonight's weather report brought to you by Redoxon.
So one bit of good news coming out of all of this rainfall activity.
Good news.
Good news. So would be the reservoir levels. Now, the Carnegie, which is the largest one, has about a 65% capacity, but the others are 70 to 80%, which all of them are well above their long-term averages.
Mm-hmm. And we're only in June.
Yeah, so some pretty good news in the midst of all of this chaos.
Definitely.
All right, thank you so much, Jean-Marc. Well, let's tell you what's still to come in the news. Court upholds suspension of police officer in deaths of Andrea Barrett suspects.
Redoxon Triple Action. Try its fresh orange flavor with no sugar. Delivers strong immune support with vitamin C, D, and zinc. Strengthen your defenses against virus. Redoxon. More than vitamin C, it's from Bayer.
Get the best in affordable eyewear. Frames with blue filter lenses and eye exam, $399. Single vision lenses with transitions on designer frames, $799. Progressive transitions with designer frames, $1,399. Happening only at Seaview Optical. Affordable eye care for everyone.
With the cold and flu lurking around every corner, keeping your immune system strong allows you to live the life that you want every day. Discover BioStrath Immune Health. BioStrath Immune Health is a unique plasmalized yeast product that enhances the absorption of essential micronutrients, ensuring that your body stays resilient. And now enriched with zinc, it is your go-to support for immunity. Staying vibrant and healthy just became a whole lot easier. BioStrath Immune Health. Get what you need naturally.
Dress like you mean business. At The Working Woman, we bring you stylish, professional looks made for the modern woman. From casual to formal workwear, we've got your professional wardrobe covered.
Feeling off balance? Your body might be missing AMPK. It's your natural reset, regulating how your body stores fat and processes sugar. Berberine Plus activates AMPK, helping your cells use energy better, reduce fat, and keep sugar levels in check. Berberine Plus, now at Pennywise and leading pharmacies nationwide.
The Cabo Star is scheduled to go on mandatory dry dock next month. However, Works and Infrastructure Minister Julian John says the cargo vessel will ramp up sailings to allow stakeholders to get goods across the stockpile.
It will remain on dry dock from July 12th to August 3rd.
We are going to have some stockpiling days. So prior to that boat going off to dry docking, we are going to enhance the service of Cabo Star into Tobago to ensure that for the retailers who need to stock up, they will have the opportunity to do. And but as I said, basically what is being put on is not ideal, but it is sufficient.
The minister said she met with Tobago stakeholders this week, where the issue was discussed and assurances were given to ensure no severe impact.
A police officer has lost his challenge over being suspended in relation to the deaths of 2 suspects in the kidnapping and murder of Andrea Barrett.
Earlier today, High Court Judge Frank Sipasad rejected PC Michael Gonzalez's lawsuit over being suspended since January 2022. Justice Sipasad ruled that Gonzalez's suspension did not constitute an unconstitutional penalty without disciplinary proceedings, as his salary was not affected. He ruled that the police commissioner commissioner did not have to consult with Gonzalez before taking the action to protect the image of the police service. Barrett went missing after entering a taxi in Arima in January 2021. Her body was found down a precipice in Aripo almost a week later.
Suspects Andrew Morris and Joel Balkan died while in police custody. Gonzalez, a former member of SORT, was suspended following a probe by the Police Complaints Authority into the deaths. Well, let's hand you over now to Jassy Marie for a look at sport. Jassy?
Thank you, Ria. We have some big football news, but before that, we also have former West Indies cricketer Roland Butcher and his thoughts on the appointment of one head coach for all formats. And the Pacers bench chip in big as they pull one back against the Thunder in the NBA Final.
Pancreatic cancer is considered the deadliest cancer in the world. Would you agree with that?
Your 5-year survival is 8%. We use the CNC3 as a surveillance tool, so it has never been meant to be used as a screening tool.
So let's talk about the more juicy thing.
There's a new blood test on the horizon.
Join me as we discuss survival rates, early detection, and the Whipple's procedure this Friday at 8 p.m. on CNC3.
Plumbing problems? Don't guess. Call Plumbing Solutions at 628-4646. Proud to be serving Trinidad and Tobago for over 20 years. We do it all. Maintenance and repairs, new construction, sewer lines, inspection, drain cleaning, leak detection. We are licensed and insured. So call Plumbing Solutions at 628-4646.
Welcome back. It's time for sport. It's being called the Group of Life. Some World Cup news to start things off. A short while ago, the draw for the third and final phase of CONCACAF World Cup qualifying was completed. It sees our Soca Warriors placed into Group B along with Jamaica, Curacao and Bermuda. Well, one team each from the three groups will advance automatically to the World Cup, joining CONCACAF host nations, the USA, Mexico and Canada, with the runners-up advancing to an interconfederation playoff in March 2026. TNT's next phase of the World Cup quest resumes in September. The first window runs from the 1st to the 9th of September. The second window is from October 6th to the 14th, and match days 5 and 6 are carded for the final window between November 10th and the 18th, at the end of which we should be, and very well could be, World Cup finalists for a second time. Fingers crossed. Staying with the World Cup, former Soca Warrior Kelvin Jack is backing his former captain Dwight York and the Soca Warriors to make it to this country's second World Cup final. However, the legendary custodian says Trinidad and Tobago's football infrastructure leaves much to be desired 20 years after reaching the summit of the beautiful game.
2006 World Cup goalkeeper Kelvin Jack says it's mission accomplished so far for Trinidad and Tobago under Dwight York, who he's convinced has the qualities to position him to succeed with the senior men's team.
He is incredibly professional, and I'm sure his attention to detail is going to be on point. He's been a hard worker all his life. You know, when you consider what he did as a young guy going over to the UK and being so successful and winning things. And I think that's one of the most important things. He has the experience. He knows how to win. He was my captain, and I always looked up to him as that leader.
And Jack is backing his former captain to continue in the role, even if the Soca Warriors don't make it to the 2026 World Cup.
I hope there's some continuity and there are no knee-jerk reactions. The chopping and the changing all the time. At some point, we have to make a decision and decide, you know what, we would like to keep these guys in to help our football develop.
The former Jabloteh, Reading, Dundee and Gillingham keeper believes that TNT can return to the quadrennial. Despite his optimism, however, when asked about the state of TNT's football, Jack's assessment was grim.
It's in a quite dilapidated state, in all honesty, football now in Trinidad. And, you know, it's really concerning to see that. You would have thought that, you know, after we qualified that, you know, things would have improved. It hasn't. We generated quite a bit of money. You know, needless to say, we know where a lot of that money went to, and I have not forgotten that. right? And that investment wasn't there. So obviously 20 years later, you know, we in a worse state. It's frustrating, and it's something that, you know, it really does upset me.
The player, whose time with the senior men ended after the Germany World Cup, says it will take a concerted, truly national effort to bring TNT's football back in step with the rest of the world. Jovan Ravello, CNC3 Sport.
All right, let's focus on the current squad now. Head coach of the Trinidad and Tobago senior men's football team, Dwight York, has been forced into one change to his squad for the 2025 CONCACAF Gold Cup. The Warriors were joined by Defence Force defender Justin Garcia today in San Jose, California. The team base ahead of their Gold Cup opener on Sunday against the USA. 29-year-old Garcia was called up to replace fellow defender Josiah Tribbingham, who was injured in the warm-up before TNT's World Cup qualifier against Costa Rica on Tuesday night. Garcia has 29 senior team caps, including 4 under Dwight York's watch, but was not included in the original 26-member World Cup qualifier roster, neither the Gold Cup squad. Meanwhile, forward Levi Garcia's own return to form, or to the team rather, following a year's absence, has produced 2 goals, which he says has lifted his confidence heading into the CONCACAF Gold Cup.
Scoring 2 goals is always a great feeling as a striker, as a winger. You know, we live for these moments, and it feels really good to be able to give what I can to help the team move forward. Really looking forward to the Gold Cup. Hope we could get the best possible start and see how far we could go from there and build on the momentum in the future.
Well, it has finally happened. The Defence Force FC Tier 1 is set to meet Defence Force FC's Tier 2 team in the first Citizens Cup knockout final. Last evening at the home of football at the Atterbolden Stadium in Couva, the teams booked their places opposite each other in the 2025 final in contrasting fashion.
The semi-finals provided a unique opportunity for the Defence Force football program to underline its dominance over the local game. Its Tier 2 campaigners have only met teams from Tier 1 in this competition. FC Phoenix, Jablote and Prison FC all slayed in previous rounds before getting to Police FC on Wednesday. Police in their red second strip looked determined to avoid the same fate at the Atterbolden Stadium against an opponent whose moxie was immediately apparent. They'd be made to work to prove themselves. Elijah Chocolate Belgrave put in the opener off a slick surface, 1-0 Police in the 28th. The rain-soaked conditions chose no sides. In the very same minute, the ball eluded Adrian Fonset's grasp, and Shaquille Holdup poked in the equalizer. Kwesi Allen separated the teams again in the 40th, a cross-turn shot sneaking in for 2-1 to Police at the half. Police missed the chance to put the result further out of reach, but the slim lead held until the dying stages. Holder at the end of some direct approach play, and the finish in the 84th minute made it 2-2. With 6 extra minutes on the clock, Belgrave was almost the hero. Army keeper Dwayne Thomas clearly upset with his late workload. A corner gave the Army one last chance to claim another giant scalp. Sub Dwight Quintero sealing Army Tier 2's progression, a moment to remember for the team, now just one step away from history. The second match featured their Tier 1 counterparts and league champions against Matura Reunited, Tier 2's other representative in the Final 4. Defender Jelani Peters bundled the Army ahead after 6 minutes. Then Rion Moore made it 2-0 on the 52nd. Darius Oliveira killed off this contest in the 54th. As the top-tier Soldiers remain unbeaten in 26 matches this season, their Tier 2 clubmates the only obstacle in the way of a successful cup defence and a second TTPFL double in 3 seasons. Expect a war in the final, says Tier 1 coach Devon Jostling.
I think this will be the toughest game for the season for Defence Force. This will be the toughest game for the season because knowing the plenty of the guys who on the Tier 2 team still believe they could play at the Tier 1 level, so they will have a point to prove.
That match is scheduled for June 18th. Jovan Ravello, CNC3 Sport.
Some cricket news now. Game 1 of the West Indies men's ODI series against Ireland was abandoned today without a ball being bowled because of rain. The Caribbean team was seeking redemption after being swept in 3 T20s and 3 ODIs against England in recent weeks. Those outcomes have led former West Indies cricketer Roland Butcher to opine that Cricket West Indies needs to rethink its appointment of a single men's head coach for all 3 formats of the game. Darren Sammy's appointment as men's T20, ODI and Test match coach is at the center of attention following another event, or rather following the events in England, and the latest is in a string of poor performances. Butcher voiced his opinion as a guest of CNC3's The Morning Shot program today.
It's not about Darren Sammy. It is really about the position that he finds himself in. I really do not believe that anyone should be given the task of being the coach of all three teams and then being the only selector. I really think that's an impossible task for that person. It just so happens that it's Darren Sammy right now, so he's going to have to live with that, whether it's something that he wanted or not.
Internationally now, the Pacers get one back at home against the Thunder in the NBA Final, and the World Test Championship Final could be over in 3 days. South Africa resumed their first innings reply on 43 for 4, chasing Australia's first innings total of 212. They crumbled to 138 all out, surrendering a lead of 74 runs on day 2 of the World Test Championship Final at Lord's. Australian captain Pat Cummins was irrepressible on his way to figures of 6 for 28 from 18.1 overs. South Africa's best scorer was David Bedingham, who made 45, while their captain Themba Bavuma made 36. Batting a second time, Australia again struggled against South Africa's pace and closed day 2 on 144 for 8, a lead of 218 runs. Alex Carey was one of only 3 Aussies to get to double digits and led their resistance in the second innings with 43. Kagiso Rabado followed his first innings 5-wicket haul with 3 for 44 so far in the second. In the NBA, Tyrese Halliburton scored 22 points and made 11 assists and 9 rebounds as the Indiana Pacers overturned a 5-point deficit heading into the fourth quarter, beating the Oklahoma City Thunder 116-107 in Game 3 of the NBA Finals. The Pacers bench outscored the Thunder 49-18, with reserve Benedict Mathurin contributing 27. Regular season MVP Shai Gilgeous-Alexander scored 24 points for the Thunder, but only 3 of them in the fourth quarter. The Pacers now take a 2-1 series lead into Game 4 on Friday in Indiana. Now for our sport high, which comes from the NBA Finals. Obi Toppin was the Robin to Tyrese Halliburton's Batman in an electrifying tag team act for the Pacers last night, shadowing this fast break and topping it off with force. But then, late on, with Indiana looking to close out the Thunder, Toppin came over the top for the tough stuff. Obi Toppin, coppin' the CNC3 Sport High.
All right, so in the World Cup developments, we are in an all-Caribbean group, Jassy.
That's correct, Ria. Jamaica, Curacao, Bermuda. It represents, I think, our best chance of getting to the World Cup if we can top that group by the end of November, guys.
Bleak week for us here in terms of the weather. That's the best news I've heard, Jassy.
It certainly is.
All right, thank you so much. Let's take a break. We'll be right back.
Disasters can happen at any time, and seconds can be the difference between life and death. To alert citizens in times of national emergencies, a public alert notification system, PANS, is being implemented in Trinidad and Tobago. The Office of Disaster Preparedness and Management, ODPM, aims to reduce the impact of unprecedented public and national disruptions. When you sign up for this public alert notification system, you can receive information anyplace, anytime about potential hazards, crises, emergencies, or disasters. To join the ODPM in helping us to save lives and reduce property damage, go to www.odpm.gov.tt/PANS and sign up so that you and your loved ones can receive national emergency alerts. Alerting you, alerting TNT. PANS, stay safe, sign up.
If you could see what the future holds, you'd see that while things change, you've still got it. You are strong, resilient, inspiring, and you won't be defined by time. You'll own every minute of it. Because you were made for more. Discover how Alive multivitamins by Nature's Way help you age vibrantly.
Minister in the Agriculture, Land and Fisheries Ministry is blaming the previous PNM administration for the flood damage farmers along the east-west corridor are suffering today.
At the post-cabinet media briefing, Minister Saddam Hussein said the previous government ignored the advice of engineers to prioritize the clearing of certain watercourses. He named a company that was mandated to conduct the clearing of watercourses and build infrastructure via a memorandum of understanding.
He said a loan was taken to complete this project, but revealed what he discovered had happened.
Right before the general election, leading up to the general election, that company was being instructed by the political directorate, not calling a name, it was being instructed by the political directorate to, instead of fixing farmlands and agricultural sites, but rather building box drain and paving roads in marginal constituencies leading up to the general election. So when farmers are flooded, they have ignored the priority list provided by the technocrats in the ministry, where we should have placed the focus on, but it was being used or abused right before general election, paving roads and building box drains.
As for the compensation for affected farmers, the minister said that is an ongoing discussion.
Those are discussions that we're having because everyone knows that there's a perennial issue in Trinidad and Tobago with respect to registration of farmers and the accessing of compensation and incentives. And that ties back to land tenure issues. That also is one of the areas which I look closely at the Ministry of Agriculture because there are certain criteria that one has to meet with respect to being registered as a farmer in order to access compensation grants and so on.
Minister Hussein assured that these projects have been approved by Cabinet for work to begin in farming areas. Internationally, at least 290 people are dead after an Air India plane crashed shortly after takeoff in the city of Ahmedabad, Western India.
One man who was on the plane survived. Here's more from CNN.
The survivor has met the Union Home Minister of India, Amit Shah. He's the Interior Minister, and he's also, some videos have now emerged in which he's seen speaking to the locals around the spot that I am coming to you. So he says that when he got to know that there was something amiss with the aircraft, and this was at a time when the aircraft was still gaining altitude, it was just about taking off from the Ahmedabad airport. It was at this point that the survivor opened the emergency gate of the aircraft and jumped out. That is what his version of the event is. And he jumped out. The plane was not at a height, and therefore he has some impact injuries. But other than that, he has managed to survive, and he's really thanking his stars. He's really thanking all the well-wishers, his family members, his loved ones for praying for him, and that's why he has survived. He's the only one so far that we know who has managed to survive the air crash. There are people who died within the undergraduate doctors' hostel as well. They were about to sit for their lunch when the tail end of the plane crashed through the wall. 4 people could have died there, even though officially the numbers will be released by morning. What the hospital authorities are telling us that at least 4 doctors could have lost their lives. I just want to step aside for a bit and want to show you this part of the debris where I'm standing. Is the wing of the aircraft, the Dreamliner of Boeing, which is lying just outside the staff quarters of the doctors. The entire wingspan lying all the way till that end, and this just tells you, this is one evidence which shows you how this aircraft actually broke into 3 parts. This is part 1 outside the staff quarter, part 2 is the hostel mess, and part 3, I'm just going to turn around, there is heavy police presence, and those buildings there completely charred. That's the staff quarter. That is where the fire began. 1.25 lakh litre of aviation fuel completely burned down, killing some people there. The official numbers are still awaited, and that area has such heavy police presence because now British High Commission officials have come to the crash site. It was a plane, remember, flying to London.
It's time to recap our headlines. Thousands affected by first major flood of the year. Authorities rally to get students to their exams.
From early this morning, corporation crews were out preparing for inclement weather.
In sport, TNT's senior men's football team is drawn in Group B alongside Jamaica, Curacao and Bermuda for the final round of World Cup qualifiers.
And in the weather, with a high chance of heavy showers, the adverse weather and riverine flood alerts have been extended until tomorrow afternoon.
As we leave you, let's remind you to stay connected with us on our social media platforms.
There you'll find tonight's stories, the latest updates and exclusive content, and don't forget to pick up a copy of the TNT Guardian newspaper.
We've come to the end of the 7 p.m. news on CNC3. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Ria Rambali.
I'm Ryan Baitshu.
I am Jassy Marik.
And I'm Jean-Marc Ramprasad. Have a good night.
You're watching CNC3.
The Doctor's Journal is brought to you by the Fitness Center, Jameson, AA Lackeys, and dbesttoys.com.
The Doctor's Journal was honored to be part of the U Health and Wellness Expo